Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Live podcast from the range with your host, John G. Johnson. Good evening, guys. It's John, the firearms instructor. You see our ad up there for our holiday special. We do have our ebooks on special for $1.99. Visit our website or our YouTube channel down below and pick up any of our ebooks for only $1.99. They are a great ability to get you a little bit more proficient with a pistol. Our latest book is Press That Trigger, which explains trigger control to a point of understanding simplification. Then we get a grip, same thing. And then why we shoot low and left. And the 10 secrets of a firearms instructor. To get an opportunity looking for something to help you become more proficient, one of these holiday special priced ebooks would be ideal. And you were supporting myself and my family by just purchasing these ebooks. It helps us out tremendously. Thank you in advance for supporting a family-owned business through their journey. We appreciate you guys very much. Well, good evening. If you don't know who I am, my name is John Johnson. I'm the John the Firearms Instructor on YouTube, and we actually specialize in you. We specialize in a first-time shooter, teaching them to become more fundamentally safe and understand shooting abilities. Now, we are live this evening on our Facebook pages. We are live on Instagram. We are live on Rumble. And we are live on our YouTube channel. And we would love you to find all those and support us and subscribe to each one of them. Now, if you are new to this channel, we are welcoming you for the very first time. Thank you very much. Don't forget to comment below. Let us know where you're from and what you do. We appreciate you very much. We're here every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. We've only missed one so far out of almost 2 years. And we try to bring you a topic of something. Maybe it's something in the news, or maybe it's just something that I come up with that most of them are firearms training or some kind of technique that I want to cover. Like this evening, we're going to discuss point shooting. And if you don't know point shooting, we're going to fill a full class in this evening. It started this week with a client of mine that lives in Dubai. And his daughter lives in Cape Coral here, and he comes down once a year, and he wanted to do a tactical class with us. And because he doesn't shoot an awful lot, he had to kind of get back in the swing of things. So we spent a couple hours together, and we got down to doing some point shooting, and he was super, super accurate. And I kind of went through some fundamentals, and I thought, this would be a great drill, a great class to do on our live. And I thought I'd cover it with you. In this episode, we're going to explore the essential skills of point shooting with a handgun. The techniques can make all the difference in close range, high-stress situational shooting, why it's critical for self-defense, and how to master it with practical drills and expert tips. You consider me an expert. I am licensed, but we appreciate you being here this evening. Do you guys know point shooting? You understand what it is? It's distinctive shooting. It is shooting without using your sights on your pistol. You can comment below and let us know if you've ever done that before. It's not that hard to do, but we got to get our head around what we're doing and understand that most likely, if you kind of think about a defensive situation, you probably aren't going to have the proper stance. You're not going to have the proper trigger control, and you're not going to have the proper sight alignment. That's all for range time. The old joke about it all, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the nose. And this is the same scenario with shooting a pistol. If you watch many of these shootings that happen throughout the internet with the cops are shooting at a bad guy, they're not aiming, they're just shooting. And point shooting happens very quickly and very fast. So muscle memory has to be there one way or the other. And that's kind of a cool feature for us. So let's talk about why point shooting is so important, because it is one of the things that we don't practice enough, but maybe we should. And when you have the proper grip on a 2 thumbs forward grip, like we talk about all the time, you get your finger out in front of you and your thumbs. If you think about your thumbs and your finger indexing towards a target anyways, So chances are you're going to impact somewhere where you're aiming in the first place, as long as you don't really get carried away and crazy with trigger manipulation. But that's why that two thumb forward grip is so important, because it does index us towards the target. Uh, it is somewhat of our natural point of aim. When you go to the range and you shoot on a regular basis, we actually have a point of natural aim we do. So for me, I'm a little to the left all the time, and I try to turn my chin to get it over there, but naturally I get to that point. Now, I could adjust all my sights to get there, but I think for me, each gun feels a little different. I shoot the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, probably the best. It is the one that fits my natural hand because I have a small hand, and it fits me. There are a couple different pistols that I don't shoot really well, like the Glock 19 and thing. Miss Johnson shoots a Glock 19 lights out. I mean, that's her gun. She doesn't want anything else besides that one because she shoots it so well. And she is super accurate with it. We used to do these summer shootouts with the, we'd have a pistol club, and we'd have these guys come and they'd shoot 10 rounds and 10 rounds and 10 rounds with a perfect score of 300. And Miss Johnson would run 240s to 260s heavy class. And that's with sights, guys. That's not with red dots. The guys with red dots will work. Now, that's kind of pretty awesome for her. I won't tell you what I shot each week because it was but she wasn't allowed to win. I wasn't allowed to win, but she always beat me. Let's just say that. So kudos to Miss Johnson. So she's a great shot, and she proves that all the time. She doesn't shoot as much as she'd like to, but she does shoot a lot. So if you're on the live this evening, make sure, please comment. Let me know where you're from. It helps us out tremendously. It helps us understand who's showing up each evening. We get a lot of people look at these after the fact, after the live is over. We get a lot of them. But definitely, if you get an opportunity, please comment below and comment and let us know where you're seeing it at, whether you're seeing it YouTube or you're seeing it on Instagram or Facebook, one of our Facebook. I apologize for having this paper in front of me, but I want to always kind of keep the script going. I tend to go off on tangents here and there, and I'm probably still going to do that this evening, but I try to keep it going and try to stay underneath an hour on all these lives. It tends to, the algorithms like that 55 to 60 minute realm, and you guys do too. So it's not too long. As long as I'm filling it with knowledge and education. We started this channel many years ago for motivation, education, and entertainment, and I hope we give that to you each week. You are my family, and I love you very much for being here and supporting us, and I want to give you some deep education as much as I can. So, point shooting is a handgun technique where you aim and fire without using your sights. Instead of aiming with front and rear sights, you're relying on your body's natural alignment and instinctive aiming to engage the target. This method is often used at close ranges in high-stress situations where speed is critical and fine motor skills may be compromised due to adrenaline. Where could that happen? That could happen when you're drawing from your holster. That could be happening if you're in in bullets are flying and you're in a high stress situation. There's a lot of stuff that could go on with that. So how to point shoot with a weapon, it's pretty simple. There's a little trick to it though, and I kind of want to make sure that you actually have the rail of the pistol. Now, I'm not allowed to show you any pistols on here because they freak out every time. But if you think about the rail assembly of the firearm, and you think about that back part of the rail, that's what I tell most of my students to do is don't look at the sights, look at the back of the top rail assembly or your slide, top of the slides, the back of it. Think of it's a Glock, it's that flat piece in the back, but it doesn't really matter if it's a Glock or whatever it is, as long as you're looking through that and not looking at your sights, and then focus with both eyes open on the whole target and cut the shot, you'll be pretty close to where you need to be. Now, I'm going to do a few live videos on this, which I'm allowed to post after the fact on my YouTube channel, which I'll connect down below once those are available. You can check our descriptions down below, watch some of these live point shoot videos. But the more you concentrate on the back of the gun and being in your line of sight, the easier it's become. Technically, if you really get down to it, point shooting helps us become more accurate because we're using both eyes to shoot the pistol, not closing one eye. Most people have a problem focusing on sight systems, and they can't get both eyes open. The both eye situation fights them a lot, where this sight system would physically give you both eyes open, which will give you a bigger field of view and bigger field of aim and everything else like that. So your natural point of aim, and then once you've done that a couple times, you get the feel of it. Because there are a couple of sights on the pistol already that you know about. You have your front post and your back post, which technically that's only one sight. Because your front post is a sight without your back post, and your back post is a sight with your front post. But those two, one in front, one in back, they line up and makes the gun level. If the top post is high, then the gun's going to shoot high. If the front post is low, the gun's going to shoot low. But not only does it level the gun out this way, it levels the gun out this way because you have negative space in between your sights. Well, with point shooting, we don't worry about that. First of all, we change our sight, our target, to an 8-inch paper plate. Take an 8-inch paper plate, put it on your chest. You should be able to impact that with point shooting at any distance we put you at from 21 foot and in. 21 foot and in is where the distance you should be really concentrating on. Now, there are some people who say shooting further distance makes me more accurate at shorter distance, which is true. But technically, in a point shooting situation, I'd be very careful of getting out past 21 feet or the 7 yards because it would be somewhat unethical of you unless you're being shot at to take a shot like that because you really aren't going to be as accurate as using your sights, if that makes sense. But if you're being bombarded by shots, then you need to do what you need to do at that point in time, if that makes sense. So what needs to be done? You get to get a natural point of aim, which you're going to focus on the actual target itself and position your body and your hands to get that gun over your dominant eye as much as possible, and then turn your chin just enough with both eyes open, and that'll put you more naturally over the gun instead of the gun being over your nose like we talked about a couple weeks ago about why you shoot low and left. It's going to be over your dominant eye, and that's going to give you more feng shui in having the weapon and the eye married together, if that makes sense. Then from there, we're going to get that definite grip, that thumbs forward, 2 thumbs forward, and then we're going to focus on the target instead of your sights. You're going to be looking at the target, both eyes open, and then we're going to work on that slow cadence engagement. And the more we really press that trigger versus pulling the trigger when we first start out, you're going to see you'll impact the paper plate. You'll impact the paper because what we're trying to do, remember, guys, it's not the paper plate. It's not the 6-inch paper plate. It's not that small circle that we were trying to impact. This isn't about that. This is about bullseyes. This is about vital triangles. This is about defensive shooting. And it's shoulders to groin. And if you look at my shoulders to groin versus your shoulders to groin versus your husband's shoulders to groin, and they're all different sizes, but the 3x5 piece of paper or 8.5 by 11 target, if you're impacting that at any distance, you win. Because if you take a piece of paper and put it here, or you put the 8-inch paper plate here, it's all the same target base. And that's what we need to do. Too many people focus on bullseyes versus consistent trigger engagement and impacting the target. If you're impacting the target, you're winning. If you're shooting low and left and right and this and all that stuff like that, if it's still in the vital triangle, you're still winning. They don't all have to be in the center. They just have to impact, if that makes sense, in a quick, fast motion. I told someone the other day we were in the back doing a class, and they were really focusing on a tight group, and they were getting a tight group. It was very surprising to me. Terrible grip. He wasn't holding it right, and we adjusted him and got him going, but he was shittily holding the gun and still impacting a circle like this with all of his bullets. And I was like, "That's great, wonderful. Do you want me to help you?" And he said, "Yeah." Because sometimes he did four in a row, but he'd have a flyer. Four in a row, he'd have a flyer. So it would go up, it would go down, it would right or left. And then I adjusted him and got his trigger engagement right. And all of a sudden, and his grip was right, and boom, he was there. So, you know, it's not magic, guys. I mean, there's some couple things you got to do to make sure that you got the gun over your dominant eye and you're controlling as much as possible. Why point shooting is important. The important part about point shooting is the close range distance. Most people come to the range and they shoot too far to begin with. They take the target all the way out to the back of the wall, and they get about a 25% accuracy rate by shooting that far distance. That's what they start at, right? They don't come in and shoot short distances first and then extend their distance as they get more and more acclimated to the area, maybe the day, maybe how the gun's feeling today, maybe how you're feeling today. So the close quarter situations, most self-defense encounters, excuse me, happen within 3 to 7 yards, where point shooting can be a faster than aiming through your sights. Now, what you think about? Let's take a Saturday night. You got your wife, you got your kids, you're out, you go into your car, you get accosted. Now you need to identify the threat, make a decision, protect your family, find out where the kids are, and then worry about your sight system, the impact. No, you don't have time for all that stuff. That's why we watch these videos where there's an encounter with a deputy sheriff anywhere in the United States. Watch some of these. These guys are not aiming. They're point shooting. They're spending their time. They're getting comfortable. They know their distance, and when it happens at 3 feet, 3 feet. That's FBI statistics say 3 feet, not 3 yards, not 5 yards, not 7 yards, 3 feet. Gunfights happen at 3 feet. They happen in low light conditions, and they happen in 4 to 6 o'clock in the morning. These are all things the FBI says. And shots wise, it's about 1.5 rounds. The average statistic gunfight is 1.5 rounds. So your scenario of having a gun and being able to defend yourself and work on the fundamentals to get you comfortable is a key thing that you need to work on. And more than you want is the close range stuff, the quick, fast things. I always start every student here at our range at the 3 yards, which is 9 feet. And we work on that fundamental. Because if you think about it, most people, if that's going to happen in their life, which I hope it never does, it's never really going to be this long distance in the movies thing they're doing. It's going to be real close and personal. It's going to be half your bedroom. It's going to be one of those deals. And you've got to be able to make that decision as quick as you can. And one of the things about point shooting, it reduces time to engagement. This is why I don't really like purse carry. I mean, women like it. I get it. Listen, if it makes you carry, I'm good. But think about this. You've got a gun in a bag behind a zipper on your shoulder. And now, boom, you got to get it out. Most people who carry in purses have physically never drawn from the purse. I have. I had a women's class a year and a half ago, and the girls were all asking, how do we carry? How do we engage from our purses and all that stuff like that? and 3 of the girls had purses there that day, and we just did it. We just did spend some time. We educated them. We kind of got through the thing. The fastest we were able to do it is when we unzipped it and staged the gun properly and knew, like, say, for instance, walking in the mall parking lot at Christmas time and it's 9 o'clock at night and you're walking from the mall to your car, you could actually unzip that button and put your hand in there. And technically, the fastest we were able to do it was shooting through the purse, not drawing out of the purse. Now, obviously, none of those girls wanted me to shoot through the purse. They were not happy about that, but it kind of would give them. Now, our problem with that, if it's a semi-automatic pistol, you only got to get one shot because that slide has to go back and forth. Where if it was a revolver, you could pull a couple through there. That's kind of where I'm at on the thing. I'm going to tell you, ladies, if purse carry is a bad idea. It's not the best idea. A firearm on your body behind the fat pad, which they call the fat pad. I'm not calling you fat, ladies. But put on your back fat pad and put a cover shirt over top of it. What's on your body, you're going to be more protected than having it in your purse. And then from there, having to make that decision to get it out, do everything. Remember, ladies, you don't need a firearm to protect your family. You are Mama Bear, and you don't. That firearm is an advantage for you, but you would need that if you really Mama Bear had to come out. Situational awareness. And Mama Bear, I don't have to teach you that. I just got to get you to run the tool, if that makes sense. And that makes it so much easier once you get the fundamentals down. Point shooting is one of those things will make you more confident within a real world situation. Reducing time of engagement. In a life-threatening situations, it's not minutes, it's fractions of seconds that can make a difference. On life and death, be honest with you. On good and bad, And that's kind of why that point shooting is something that needs to be practiced. Real world application with adrenaline stress may be difficult to focus. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know if you ever done this before, but when you get into a high stress situation, your body shuts down everything it deems unnecessary. That's where that tunnel vision comes from. That's where the heart rate comes from. That's where the mobility of your hands, racking, slide, and touching the trigger and doing all that stuff all becomes tedious, especially in a high stress, high adrenaline dump situation. And people ask, what does that mean, high adrenaline dump situation? You've never been in a situation where you're in a life-threatening situation, but car accidents are one of the things that happens to people all the time. And they say it slows down very quickly in a car accident. If you think about every car accident I've ever been into, I knew it was happening, but I couldn't do anything about it, if that makes sense. But I'm going to give you some advice, and I'll tell you what adrenaline dump. There's 2 kinds of adrenaline dumps, and I think I've said this before, you guys. But let's take you down your road in your neighborhood, and you are driving and you are not paying attention. Your neighbor 3 houses up comes rolling out of his driveway without paying attention to you, and you slam on the brakes and barely miss him. Now, how's your heart doing? Right, boop, 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 boop. You're a little nervous. You're pissed because he backed out in front of you, and you're a little mad. But technically, that was adrenaline pump right there. That physically there would cause you to be feeling a little weird for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Now let's do that same trip, but instead, let's take that car and make it an 8-year-old on a tricycle. And you'd flip your car before you hit that 8-year-old. Same scenario, 2 different adrenaline dumps. And when adrenaline dumps happens, it's going to be hours before you can calm down in that situation. And pray to God you missed the kid, right? So the scenario is they're exactly the same thing. You're getting a car accident, but one's life-threatening and one's 2 vehicles getting messed up. Different. There's still adrenaline involved, but the latter one would be one that would cause us more issues. Your dexterity is going to be different. Your sight system is going to be different. Your heart rate's going to be different. All the stuff that's going to happen in a situation like this. Training for instinctive shooting, knowing the techniques to complete sighted shooting is great, but understanding how to point shoot is probably the most important training tip you can do, and it needs to be done at short distance to begin with. Now, we talked about your weapon and we talked about sighting systems on there already. When you have your back of your slide is one of the ones we would use, but you could use the rails, the side rail. Think about you got your top of your slide, and you have that angle. So you have this line and that line. Because technically in point shooting, the chances of us physically using two hands to point shoot is going to be somewhat challenging. I could be fighting the bad guy or pushing the bad guy off of my non-dominant hand and turning my weapon, canting it, not gangsta, but canting it just a little bit to look down the rail of that firearm to allow me to point shoot. That's a common thing that we teach people with their point shooting, because this is another one of those drills that you get yourself into where, yes, I could point shoot with two hands, but what's the chances of me getting in a situation where I'm going to be able to have two hands on the firearm and be proficient on a regular basis? Most likely it's going to be a one-handed situation when I'm using my point shooting, if that makes sense. And then number five, it improves reaction time. Now, if you've never drawn from a holster, that's a whole nother situation for you. But being able to time yourself to draw from the holster and impact the target is somewhat something we need to practice as well. Uh, on my YouTube channel, did a couple videos on how to draw from the holster, which we talk all the time about elbow back, lifting it, turning your wrist. You're pulling that firearm and being able to engage it with one hand already. So point shooting really gains into that, because technically when I pull that holster out and I've got it out, canted it just a little bit, that first shot can come from the hip. And you may need that first shot. The second shot is going to be mid-body, and the third shot will be up in your line of sight. So in attack class, we always are putting the three shots together, because that first shot could be the shot to get the bad guy off you. And from the pelvic girdle to the actual top of the shoulders, all that area would be stopping a bad guy, if that makes sense. So, why is point shooting so important? Because of these situations, like close quarter situation, reducing engagement time, real world applications, training with instinctive shooting, and improving reaction time. But there are some limitations. We got to make sure we understand when we talk about all these drills and things we do, there are advantages and disadvantages to each one, and you need to make sure that you understand those for your own purpose. We talked about this already, but we'll cover it again. There's a disadvantage of accuracy at long ranges. Remember I said I wouldn't recommend big point shooting past 25 feet or that's going to be somewhat challenging for you, because your target, you're responsible for that bullet and where it goes and what it impacts. So long distances, point shooting becomes a little more challenging for you. And point shooting requires practice. There is nothing easy about point shooting. There's nothing fun about it, but it has to be done. But you'd be surprised how accurate you could be. My friend from Dubai, we spent about, an hour, and I had him shooting 3x5 cards. What I did is I took a tape and put it over the vinyl triangle. We worked on a paper plate. He got comfortable one-handed. He got both hands. He got comfortable right-handed. He got comfortable left-handed, shooting with his non-dominant eye. He got comfortable doing that. So then I transitioned him to 2 3x5 cards, and he was transitioning back and forth by using his waist and point shooting, and was able to impact the 3x5 card. Now, keep in mind, these are 3 to 5. This was 3 yards, which was 9 feet. Not that further a distance, but he was able to do it. Now, it takes a little bit of time, but once you've got the concept and you do that whole back of the slide impact, aim back here, it becomes so much easier. Most people who point shoot tend to have the gun tilted up and shoot high because they're trying to physically look over the gun, not through the gun. But if you look at the back side of that rail assembly, that rail assembly will be up more in your line of sight, and you'll be punching through it. So you're not seeing the target as much when you've got the gun right in your line of sight and you're looking at the back of the slide to aim the weapon, but you are looking through the gun. And that's the whole key to shooting, you with sights or without sights. If you're looking through the pistol, you're more accurate than looking over the pistol, if that makes sense. One of the tricks I can give you, if you're looking through your front post and you're looking at your front post, right? You're looking through your back post to your front post, you should not see any black between the two sides. If you're seeing black between the two sides, you're looking over the pistol. If you are pushing the pistol out in front of you and you have to dip your head to get to the gun, we call that turtling. Turtle. You don't want to turtle. You want to bring the gun up to your line of sight. Now, I know, guys, with glasses, sometimes you have to look back because you got the high-low, or you've got one eye is good and one eye is for far and all that stuff. They magically do all that fun stuff for you, but you've got to find that happy medium. Remember, 2 o'clock in the morning, you ain't going to have your eyeballs on. They're most likely sitting on the counter if you're wearing glasses. And if you're wearing contacts, well, now they have the monthly thing you wear for a month. And Miss Johnson wears monthly, but it works for you. But you're still going to be a little foggy. So never dunk your head to get there. Always bring the gun to your line of sight, if that makes sense. So those are the negatives to point shooting. It's not as effective at long distances, and it does require practice. Point shooting should be part of your training program anyways. And you take a target, take a paper plate, put it at 3 yards, and begin to start working at it. I was able to do with my buddy the other day, I was able to put out, I did 3, I did 5, I did 7, I did 21, 25, and 30 on the paper plate. And the 31s were a little dropped on it. And I'll show you a video of what he did the other day too, and we'll attach it down below. But I was pretty impressed. He hadn't shot in a year. Like I said, he's from Dubai. He's down for the holidays with his kids. He has to go back. But it was pretty good. He did well. And he wasn't shooting an explosive pistol. He was shooting a Taurus GX4. And those are notorious for having that long-ass trigger pull. But he did well today. He did well. I was very impressed with him. So here's some tips and drills for point shooting. We need to first work on our grip. We got to really be confident with our grip. And this includes one-handed or two-handed. And I want you to practice two hands at first until you get confident. And once you're starting to get about 85%, still stick to 5 rounds at a time, push the target out to 3 to 5 yards, and work on trying to impact the center of the paper plate by looking in the back of the slide and visualize the paper plate and look at the paper plate and point the gun directly at the paper plate and then slowly press the trigger. Maintain a consistent firm grip on the handgun, ensuring alignment of natural point of aim. You can practice gripping your unloaded firearm and pointing at a target repeatedly to ensure the barrel is aligned with your dominant eye. This is very easy to see when people are shooting over their nose versus over their dominant eye. If you could imagine, if I got my right eye and I'm looking through a gun, it's over my nose, I'm already looking at the gun in the vise anyways. And then when I'm trying to point shoot, it's going to cause me more to be off to the left on a situation like that. So if you could kind of think about marrying the weapon and the eye together, that's the key. More than anything else, the weapon and the eye have to be lined together. And that's an easy thing. If you're right-handed and right eye dominant, you just turn your chin to the right and marry that weapon and the eye together. If you're right-handed, left eye dominant, it's the same. Turn your chin to the left, guys, and marry that weapon. Make sure that if that right hand is up over your left eye, and vice versa if you're left-handed. It's very simple. One of the drills I give people all the time, one of the things I show them what happens is I take a broom and I get them to hold it, and I get them to hold it with the gun over their dominant eye, and I bring the broom right to their nose. Well, if the broom is at their nose, right, I take it back out and I bring it here, and I take it back out and I bring it here. The gun's over your nose. That's why you're causing all these left shots. And then I take that broom and I adjust their chin just a little bit, and I move their eye just a little bit, and I bring that gun directly to their dominant eye. And I say, that gun's going to be over your eye at that point in time. So I'm right-handed and right eye dominant. That gun's going to be directly over my right eye, and I'm going to be more lined up, if that makes sense, for point shooting. So that's a natural way of doing it. Now, the second thing I would recommend is you focus on the target. And this is important. Most people don't do that. They focus on their targets. They focus on their sights. They focus on the front post, the back post. Well, guess what? Your mind can't do all that. It only can do one thing. So what do we want it to do? We want to focus on the target. And as it focuses on the target, then you push the gun out in front of you and see the firearm, the back of the firearm, the back of the slide, and paper plate all the way around it. And then as you do that, just slowly, methodically press that trigger. Now, really, in a defensive situation, are we going to go slow? And no, we're not. But I want you to get the concept first, and then we'll work on faster cadences of shooting. But we got to get to where the gun's got to be in that paper plate. And then once we get going on that, then we realize if I take a paper plate and a silhouette target, and I take the tape on the top side and bring it down to the lateral triangle, every bullet the guy shot the other day, we shot 150 rounds during an advanced class. Every one of them, besides two, were in the target. We're in the lateral triangle. So, what, 98% of 150 rounds? I think that's pretty good. Now, of course, we're not in a stressful situation. We're not in a dead drill and dump and all the stuff like that. But the more time we do this, the more natural it becomes. And then we start building that muscle memory. And the more we build muscle memory, that's all this is about. You know, these tools that we're operating, people think they're deadly weapons, but they're tools. These tools we're operating needs a craftsman like you. And you need to know how to handle it. And that's my job to teach you. So when you got it, you can share it. And if you share it, you're educating somebody else. That's the whole thing about this, baby. That's the whole thing. All right. So train your eyes to stay on the target, not the gun sights. Set up a target from 3 to 5 yards. Unloaded pistol. Draw and point the target. Stay focused solely on the target, not your sights. And dry fire a little bit. This is okay to do in your home. But sooner or later, we're going to have to get to the range. And I would put it out to your comfort level. What? Comfort level? What do you mean by that? Whatever distance you think you can do, 5 rounds, and hit that paper plate and not miss. What's that distance? What's different for everybody? Mine, I could probably push it out to 5 yards. I think it'd be okay. Put me a little bit further than that, I think it'd be okay too. Put me past 21 foot, okay, all right. Go back to 30, 35, and 40. I don't think I would even practice that, to be honest with you. I would not be point shooting at that point in time. I'd be using target base. I would be using my sights. Technically, in a situation like that, if I'm shooting past 35 feet, 35, 40 feet, should I actually be shooting at the bad guy? Bad guy probably couldn't hit me to begin with. They get lucky. They get lucky more than anything else like that. And technically, if you can barely hit that target at that distance, what do you think a guy who doesn't train at all can do? That's the one great thing about us. That's the advantage of coming to the range. That's the advantage of training on a regular basis, to be prepared, to be tactically prepared to win. It's not the cop's job to save your life. Whose job is it? It's yours. It's your job to save your family. It's your job to save your life. It's your job to save other people if you need to. I would recommend saving the world, but you have your concealed. You can do that if you want to. All right. Once you've got that 3 to 5 yards down, you get the comfort level, and you start engaging that trigger on a regular basis. And then we're going to start. What's our accuracy? I just shot 5. How many went in the paper plate? How many went in the center of the paper plate? Oh, 2. How many went on the outside of the paper plate or at the edge of the paper plate? 1. How many missed the paper plate? 2. Okay, so now we need to either slow down or we need to shorten our distance. Conceptually, what we want to do is pass every time. What's past the 5? You got to get 4. 3 is failing, right? Well, if you 3 or less, you fail. So don't extend the distance yet. Shorten the distance. If you put it out to 5 yards and you miss 3 out of 5, you need to come closer. Get the concept, then extend your distance. If you extend your distance to 3 yards, then 5 yards, and then 7 yards, have a problem, well, we work at 7 yards until we get it. 7 yards is our max anyways, really, in my opinion. We can get, I've done 30 before. I wouldn't say I was, I did a point shoot video here on the YouTube channel somewhere. I'll put that link in the description below for this live for you to see it. I'll probably do shorts somewhere along the line about point shooting, and you'll see that. But this is something you just got to practice, guys. Not hard, not difficult. It gives you something fun to do at the range with your buddies, right? It's bragging rights a little bit. Who needs sights? Badges. Who needs a badge, right? You could say that about sights. Sights. Who needs sights? I don't need sights. I point the gun where it goes, and that's where the bullet goes. That's pretty cool at that point in time. Be able to do that. That's an impressive thing. That's controlling the weapon. Find your point of body. Tip to finding your body's natural point of aims. Close one eye, extend your hand towards the target, then open your eye and check to see if the barrel is lined with the target. This is the same thing as your dominant eye. If you've learned anything, your dominant eye is so important for shooting because that's where the weapon needs to be proficient. You can't have the gun over your non-dominant eye. And a lot of people nowadays with these progressive lenses and they've had surgery to get one eye out, one eye in, your dominant eye may not be the eye you think. So there is a test. I've done this before with you guys, but you can actually do the point thing where you point at something, close one eye, close the other, and you'll see how it moves. But you can just make your triangle, make a triangle like that. You're going to focus in this hole right here, point it at anything you want to see, look through the target, and then bring it back to your dominant eye, and then it'll automatically go to your dominant eye. If you try to go to your non-dominant eye, you'll see the back of your hands. So knowing your dominant eye is key. Dominant eye is focusing on, that's where the weapon needs to be. We talked a couple weeks, a week ago or 2 weeks ago about the wall drill. But for point shooting, what we're looking to do without live ammo, we want to make sure that we're not doing any manipulations of the trigger. We need to work on that trigger as best we can to make it smooth. At 3 to 5 yards, you can actually draw out, hit that target almost close to the wall, and slowly engage its trigger and see the bobble. The other day, I did a short that from one of our videos talking about, um, how to uh, stop flinching the weapon. That's called flinching. And there was a flinching video we did, and it kind of helps us understand. And when you see Johnny, my son, who was working with me at the time, set up my targets, set up my magazines with dummy rounds in it. It was called the ball and dummy drill. And basically, he put 3 live and 2 dead in there, and every time he would set them up with different cadences, and when I went to go to pull the trigger, I wouldn't know if the gun was going to fire or not fire, and that helps us understand how much true manipulation or trigger press or flinching that we're doing with the weapon. And that flinching causes our inaccuracy as well. So we need to get the good, decent trigger engagement. So close range dry firing helps you see the wobble, the bobble of the weapon. Now, point shooting's normally done not two-handed. Point shooting's normally done one-handed. And this is something, if you haven't done before, I think you really should try it. I want to make sure you understand a couple things first. Shooting one-handed and not understanding where your other hand is dangerous. So anytime, and I have a couple videos on our YouTube channel, I was very fortunate enough to help a guy who had lost his dominant hand in an automobile accident, and he had gone through everything and was now back to natural shooting. And of course, he was right-handed, lost his right hand, and we had to teach him to shoot left-handed. And it was a little challenging for him. And he didn't have the problem we would have, because when you have 2 hands and you're shooting one-handed, you want to make sure that this dominant hand is away from your chest as much as possible. So anytime you draw a weapon or grab a weapon, you just grab the top of your shirt like this. And that way that keeps the gun out. We're going to cant the weapon just a little bit, get it over our dominant eye as best we can, and slowly press that trigger. And what that does for us, that allows that cadence or that recoil management to go up and over instead of up and down. And it's challenging to get going at first, but once you've got it, you've got it. And you can still focus on the back of the slide to aim the weapon, and it works good. Now, cool thing is, there's a couple guns on the market. If you were to take your hand, let's say you took your dominant hand and you took a bullet to it, and now you're still in the fight. Well, there's a couple things you could do, and shooting left-handed is one of those things that most people have never done before, which you should be doing as well. Shooting one-handed, right-handed, shooting a shotgun that way, shooting a rifle that way, just getting yourself. But we got to understand how to rack the slide and get the magazine out. Now, majority of the firearms on the market today are made for right-handed shooters, which the magazine is in the right side and all that stuff like that. But you're left-handed, the actual magazine drop on your left-handed person is this finger right here. And that just rolls back and touches the mag well. And then you reach down with your other hand and catch the mag, right? Well, it's the same thing can happen if you're right-handed, guys, and you need to get that magazine out to put another mag in. Just push that button, hit that mag well, the mag would drop out. It's very simple, very easy, but you got to get your finger to that position to get that magazine out. There's one of the challenges shooting left-handed. The other one is racking the slide. Now, how do we rack the slide when you are in a situation where, let's say we're at slide lock, the magazine's on the table. You can reach up and grab the magazine, just put it up parallel or vertical, and then take the gun and slam it down on top of the magazine. Well, the gun's going to be at slide lock at that point in time. Have you ever heard of closing the slide with your sights. Well, a lot they take the Glock and the Smith and Wesson and the Rugers, all flat back sights, and all you do is you take it and you press down on the tabletop just like that, knock it back, let it go, and it'll close automatically. That is a good tip for somebody who may have lost their dominant hand. Now, some of those sights, and I've done it before with clothing, you can push it on your pair of jeans and close the slide too. I'm going to do a video on working. I did a video shooting the pistol one-handed. I actually loaded a magazine one-handed. Now, keep in mind, it was a Glock magazine. It was only 5 rounds. I'm not sure if I'd be doing that, worried about that. But if I'm in a situation, I probably have multiple mags ready for me anyways, so I wouldn't have that issue. But I just wanted to show it could be done. And unfortunately, the guy that was taking a class with me that let me videotape him was one-handed. So, and his left hand was not his dominant hand. Well, obviously, it is now because he lost his hand in an accident. So the scenario is he had to learn that, and we spent some time together, him and I, working on all of this stuff to make him more proficient. And it kind of was a cool thing. He actually had a mechanical hand for his right hand that was Bluetooth, and we thought we could get that gun we got to grab the weapon, but we couldn't get the angle exactly right to get his finger in the trigger well. We tried a couple times. He thought we could get it done, but at the end, it just wasn't safe. It just wasn't working the way we wanted to work it. So we taught him to shoot left-handed. Never shot left-handed before in his life. And by the way, he had a 27, which was a 40 cal, which in turn, shooting one-handed and shooting 40 cal, he shot wonderful, man. He shot wonderful. It was pretty. 23, not a 27, 23, which is a 40 cal, 4-inch barrel. Pretty nice, pretty nice. There's a lot of laser trainings that can help you see what you're smacking and all that stuff. I'm not really into that, pointing the laser stuff. But you can do that. Multiple targets, transitioning right or left. That is more using your wrist, using your waist to aim the gun, not your arms. You don't ever want to use your arms to aim a weapon. Same thing with your wrists, not here. You want to use your waist to aim the weapon. So we turn with our waist to aim the weapon on both sides. That helps. Remember, you're the turret on the tank. You run 360. Well, we don't run 360. We can't run 360. But we don't actually physically use our wrist to aim the gun. We use our waist to aim the gun. So we're pivoting on our waist. If I put a pole between your two hips, that's what you're going to pivot on, and that's what you're going to spin on as well. And then you could do some low light drill stuff as well. And then the startle reaction drills. These drills help out tremendously, pulling the holster from the and being able to shoot. Now, a lot of places don't allow you to do that, but you can actually do those time drills like that, or buzzer drill, and transition from live fire to rail fire for real war feedback. We do a lot of what's called number drills, where a guy will call out a number. You could have six paper plates, 6 circles on a target, and you can name them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then have your buddy call out a number, and that's the target you need to impact. And they could be 2 up top, 2 at bottom, 2 in the middle, and you could name them all different stuff. So that gives the guy transitioning up and down, right and left. And remember, these are all either one-handed or two-handed. They're all point shooting. You know, it's important to understand their safety features. If you've never done any of these things, one-handed shooting or anything else like that, it's very not hard, but it's slow work. So you can do a couple different things. You can actually physically start with low round counts, even lower round counts. If we talk about 3 to 5, you can take down to 2 or 1 at a time, just to get you comfortable doing it. And once you're really comfortable, then you can add a round, add another round, until you get to 5. Remember, the weapon is just a tool that needs to be operated, and you need to control it. If you wanted to take a lesson to us, we actually have training classes on a regular basis you could sign up for. Obviously, somebody from the internet that's watching this from somewhere else won't be able to make it to us, but find a qualified instructor in your area that will help you work through point shooting as well. Videos can only do so much. Lives can only do so much. You got to get your ass out there and shoot, guys. You got to do it on a regular basis. You understand how important it is. It's something you must do because at the end of it, you never know what you're going to need to do to win. Okay. Safety notes, always practice drills in a safe environment, proper safety measures. Use safety backdrops or ranges when performing live drills. Verify your firearms unloaded before you do any live fire drills or dry fire drills. By combination of drills and tips, you'll build confidence and muscle memory in point shooting and prepare you for close quarter combat. We all think nothing's going to happen to me, but when it does, you want to be ready. Most people nowadays are carrying a small pocket pistol in their pocket. They've gone to the gamut of everything, and they actually, with new Smith's bodyguard now with that 12 rounds, it's a phenomenal piece. I don't think you're going to need 2 more magazines, but having the pistol when you need it is more important, and having something that is easy to carry is probably going to make you want to carry more. This wraps up our discussion on point shooting. I hope these tips and drills will give you a confidence to get started training today. These are essential, guys. Remember, practice makes perfect, and safety always comes first. If you enjoyed the episode, please do not forget to hit the bell icon, the like, and the subscribe button. Nothing nefarious, but sometimes people get unsubscribed from channels, and I just want to make sure you guys that are watching this or watching it in the future want to help us and promote us by reviewing. You can always leave questions and comments. We answer every one of our comments. We just got over the 32,000 subscribers, and we've got almost 5 million views. And it's not because of me, it's because of you guys supporting small family-owned businesses like this. You can reach out to us through all of our social media contacts. If you go to our YouTube channel, there is my email there as well. We answer all of our emails as well. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line of defense. Before we close out, I want to answer a comment that came through. Oh, thanks, Stan. Appreciate you very much. By the way, your pistol came in about 10 minutes ago, buddy. So when you're available, you can do what you need to do there, my friend. Shipping has been crazy. Well, guys, we're getting down to the end of the year. Christmas is right around the corner. What's on your list? What's on the Christmas list? Don't forget we have our gift cards that are available. Don't forget those swag T-shirts and things from our YouTube channel. Those ebooks are really good gifts you can give out. Basically, you just download that and you're able to send that off to everybody. That'd be awesome. And those help out tremendously. Until next time, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line of defense. Until next Tuesday, God willing, we'll see you. Bye-bye, folks. Love you.